Another episode today in the Barbed Wire Wrestling Podcast as we continue the road to WrestleMania. And as we get closer, we have this week with John Cena. Interestingly, Pedro, as we recap and we continue on this heel turn of John Cena. What is your thoughts? How did John Cena do this week?
Well, Alfredo, I have to bring it up because where has this John Cena been for the past 15, 20 years that we've been watching him? First part of his career, he was a bad guy, and then all of a sudden, everybody loved him, so he was a good guy for the rest of the time. Where was this John Cena where we needed him back in the day? Because I was part of the clique that was always on the Cena sucks, not the Let's Go Cena. So
So you were chanting for "Let's go Cena, Cena sucks" crowd.
no, Cena sucks. I never said let's go Cena.
Okay. So, have you noticed in looking at his this week, for the second week in a row, he has basically in a way has trash talked the WWE universe, calling him out for the 25 years that they have put him through. He even called out a kid. But trying to recap the most important things that he gave into Rambling. Again, for the second week in a row, his message was very, against the universe. But he never there's still we don't see any mention of The Rock.
Mhm.
What's your thought about that?
Well, it's kind of weird because you pretty much made some kind of backdoor deal with The Rock to be able to be in this kind of situation because I'm me thinking about it. Uh, these seeds were being sowed for a little while because John Cena was the only one going into the Elimination Chamber that didn't have to do anything to be there. He had to just pretty much show up, and that's pretty odd to me, especially being the John Cena of old that he always wants to earn it and all that good guy jive. But I found it very odd, and it was being mentioned by CM Punk, by Seth Rollins. It was being mentioned by several people, and just by storyline, that's The Rock inserting him in there without him having to do anything. Um, but as to The Rock not being around, we understand that. But
Why do you think he hasn't mentioned him? Like, are they not in cahoots, or they are?
mm,
Why? Because to make this storyline sense,
mhm.
there has to be a mention of The Rock somehow.
The thing is that John Cena's been a good guy for so long that it seems to me that he needs to cement his bad guy role, and he has been doing that. He doesn't need The Rock to do that. The Rock is in my opinion is better in the background pulling strings and being in front of you doing things. Um, the Rock doesn't need to, in my opinion, doesn't need to be in front of everybody. Now, is the Rock going to show up? Obviously, he's going to show up before WrestleMania. He's going to say a few things, but John Cena really needs to flesh out this character. He doesn't need The Rock to do it.
Okay. What else do you think about that?
Um, I am liking this John Cena character, the way that he's changing, and he said something very interesting. You guys are not gonna get a new music. You guys are not gonna get new clothes, nothing different. Everything's gonna be the exact same because you fans do not deserve it. So, and I was expecting, me as a fan, expecting some kind of change. It reminded me back in the day when um when Stone Cold Steve Austin was ran over, and it turned out to be Rikishi, and Rikishi changed his whole character. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, I remember
it
that.
changed,
Yeah,
but the way he came out didn't change, but the he wasn't dancing anymore. The music changed.
yeah.
Um,
If he was going to be like a corporate type, he was going to change that. For example, Seth Rollins, when he turned on the Shield, the week after that, Seth Rollins was dressed with a suit.
yeah,
Steve Austin, when WrestleMania 17, when he turned heel, Kind of like in a way, at first he had a suit on. Obviously, he always was around. He was dressed as himself, but John Cena. That's the one thing of what we love about this. That what we expect is not what we're getting from him.
Yeah.
I mean, you can tell in his eyes that he loves what he's doing right now. But keeping this in the story, he absolutely couple things that I noticed. Number one, in both interactions that he has had with Cody, both segments of this past week has been very similar. John Cena for 20 minutes talk crap, Cody Rhodes come out, everybody cheering for Cody, nothing happens. But what I've noticed on both of these things, Pedro, is that on this segment specifically, you can tell that he ignored Cody Rhodes, even though with Cody Rhodes talking to him, tried to get him to fight, but we still have not heard in both times John Cena respond back to Cody Rhodes. So it looks like, and I've gone read in through a couple of the YouTube comments. Some people are saying that this is mostly John Cena versus the universe, and he is ignoring Cody Rhodes. But if you want to advance the storyline, I feel that there has to be eventually. This cannot be continuing. WWE cannot be continuing just having John Cena talk crap to the crowd. Because eventually they need to get physical, either having through a contract signing, do something, but there has to be a little bit more action.
Yeah, I do agree with you with that. It can't just be that. And it's kind of, I think it's a little bit difficult right now because from my understanding, Cody Rhodes is injured. They did rupture his eardrum, and he came out with a black eye a couple weeks ago. So if he's injured, if he continues to be injured, it's gonna be hard to do any kind of a match where there's a run in and John Cena screws him, or The Rock shows up and beats him up like last year. It's gonna be a little bit hard, but I
Well,
do.
they had to have, because to
Yeah,
keep this, you have 4 weeks to go to WrestleMania. You have to keep it engaged. Looks like next week, we are going to see another interaction between them two. I expect a little bit more, more physical this time.
yeah, and I do. I have to give it up to the fans in Europe, man. That crowd is electric over there.
Yep.
I
Yep.
like I knew like I, we're here in the United States, and you get lukewarm responses all the time. But those guys over there are really into it. I see everybody has their merch on, everybody with signs, with all kinds of with anything that happens, they blow up. So
Yep.
when John Cena comes out and they're booing him, they're like really, really booing this guy. They don't
Yeah.
like for it looks to me like this is what wrestling's supposed to be, the crowd interaction. And when Cody comes out, it's like Cody Rhodes, and you see that whole interaction there, and it's very like it makes the people at home more into the product when
Yeah,
the crowd is actually in it.
they did very well to have these interactions outside of the U.S. because by those crowds. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I agree with you there. I mean, it was the atmosphere makes it great. What do you thought about his final comments, John Cena, when he said that he was going to win the title and that he was going to retire and take the title with him?
Well, that to me kind of like reminisce of that CM Punk and like John Cena back in the day, Money in the Bank, where he just walked off with the title. Do I think that that's something that's in storyline could happen? Yes, I think that's something in storyline that could very well happen.
How
And
do you think he's going to do it?
well,
How would the story goes?
Well, it's very, in my opinion, this if I were to be writing this story and to see exactly what's going to happen, the Rock, the final boss, would make it so that something in while the match is going on, he screws Cody Rhodes because of everything that's happened. Now John Cena comes out the next day on Raw and pretty much says this is the last time that you will see this title. Pretty much the same thing that he said, that every title after this will be a toy because this the real one is going home with me. And then of course Cody Rhodes comes out. It becomes a big deal. Does he really leave? No, he's not really going to leave
No,
because
no, but we're going to talk about storyline. What do you think is going to happen?
and just as I said, he will
So,
come the next day, or he will win WrestleMania. I'm not gonna. We don't know exactly how it's gonna happen. I think he will win WrestleMania. Next day, he comes on Raw, says everything that he says he's going to do, and pretty much says that's it. You guys. I told you guys what was gonna happen. The final boss made it so. He put in the last nail in the coffin, and and big fu to the fans. I'm leaving,
okay,
and
when does he come back?
he ends up coming back after Cody Rhodes again wins the second championship because they have to make it so that he leaves for a while, and then once and pretty much maybe not SummerSlam. It has to be before SummerSlam. That's where probably the match will actually happen. SummerSlam, but somewhere around somewhere in the middle you will see an interaction where the Rock comes out, interaction with Cody Rhodes, and then hit from the back, John Cena.
Okay. Well, I I mean, I personally, what I would think is that he kind of would do something like that. I mean, to take advantage of his last year, keeping him out for so long, I think it would be a probably mistake by WWE of keeping him out for so long. Because yeah, you do want to hijack the title, but obviously you don't want to keep him out for that long. I think he will win it. He will threaten to take the title. But then he might get threats. I think Cody Rhodes for a time needs to be out of the title scene. Maybe that'll be the opportunity for Randy Orton. I think in the May pay-per-view, Randy Orton is in his hometown, so it'll be perfect to have the final John Cena Randy Orton match. That's been heavily rumored. Maybe SummerSlam or maybe King of the Ring. Around that, you have CM Punk. Remember, CM Punk has some from things in which we're gonna talk about CM Punk coming up now.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's how it would end up happening. I mean, I think it won't kill for that long, but that element of the title being gone,
Yeah.
that is very interesting. That's something that is. We'll see how he portrays with that.
Yeah, when it comes to, I want to input one last thing.
Yeah,
I was watching a couple of weeks ago an interview where CM Punk was pretty much talking about that time and how he wanted to have the title gone for a little bit longer than what the Vince McMahon wanted, and they kind of cut it in a little bit too soon. He wanted to go
yeah,
and show up in other places with the title and make it longer, but they wanted that whole they want to like pretty much cut that whole thing short and make it so that next pay-per-view this is what we're gonna have.
yeah. So you think that they're probably gonna extend this out as much as they can?
Yeah, because there's no, especially on Raw. Yeah, Netflix, you need people watching Netflix, but there's no like big thing that people need to like go and see it the next day because of that. I think it needs to be like it's hard to explain, like a longer drawn out thing, and make it a surprise when John Cena comes back.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's talk about the other storyline. We talked about John Cena. This weekend, we had SmackDown, and then this Monday, we finally got the confirmed triple threat match: Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, CM Punk. What's your thought about it?
Well, whew, man, this might as well be the main event in WrestleMania. To be honest, it is to
No,
me
no, that's not. It cannot be the main event of
to me is the most
for night one
interesting.
at least.
I know the title match. Obviously, is the way that thing is drawing out and how slow it's growing. And yes, John Cena is looking to be more and more legitimate as a bad guy, but this is more entertaining in my opinion. You have the three guys showing up every day, fighting with each other,
Okay, what
having
are they fighting for? What are they fighting for?
because they don't like each other. I know that there should be a reason for them to fight. There has to be some kind of reason for them to fight. But what better situation for people to fight in real life as to them not liking each other? You know, Think about it in real life, Alfredo. If you find somebody out on the street that you don't like, and he gives you a reason to fight with him, you're gonna fight with him.
Okay, but to keep this the storyline captivating, what would be the end game if they're just here's what I think will happen. A couple things that happened this week on SmackDown, and then this Monday that happened. First of all, I think there has to be a reason that they fight. I mean, yes, they can hate each other. Is a perfect. They're actually gonna have a contract signing. I think with what CM Punk said this Monday, he said his number one goal. What is his number one goal still? Main event WrestleMania. He kept on referring to that and that he got screwed out of his dream, or did he? And that he mentioned the two people in his way was Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. What does that indicate? I think that whole favor of Paul Heyman, in which he mentioned it again on Friday, that's going to come to fruition. I wouldn't be surprised, as crazy as this sounds, that if CM Punk wins the triple threat match, he's going to insert himself into the main event of WrestleMania. Now, I don't know how that would fit storyline wise, because with the John Cena and Cody Rhodes, with The Rock potentially it's too much. And then you add CM Punk into that, that's even more heavy. But with what he said this week is making, and he keeps on referring main eventing WrestleMania, I think that he's gonna look for a loophole to get himself into that. So by winning the triple threat match, putting himself into the main event of WrestleMania. That's what I think is gonna happen there. There has to be an end game. Now, earlier in other podcasts, I have mentioned that the winner will be the number one contender for a future pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that this would be something that whoever wins would get added into the main event for it. Are you in the same page with me in that?
I would have to disagree, Alfredo, because I understand where you're going, and I understand how, because it's been done before. Technically, it's been done before with Triple H versus Daniel Bryan in the past, and then he ends up going to the main event and wrestling again. It's been done. It's been done before. But as for CM Punk doing it, I just don't see why and where he gets that push into that main event place.
Why
Because
would he? Of course, he would have to push. He's
no. He's popular. I just don't understand where he fits into that mold of the final boss, Cody Rhodes, John Cena, championship. I don't see how it fits when they already have their structure already set. Now,
that's the only thing. I agree with you. That's the only thing that's kind of still hasn't been. Well, how would that fit into the main event?
yeah, it doesn't make to me. It doesn't make much sense to make it happen now. Like it could happen in the future, like you were mentioning on a prior podcast, how it could be for the future, like another pay per view or another event where he calls in a favor to his guy Paul Heyman, and he gets some kind of help to actually win. Now, could the favor in your theory be to get inserted into the main event picture? I don't know if Paul Heyman has that kind of pull.
Well, that's the thing. So exactly. How would he get himself inserted? Like, is he going to talk to The Rock? How would The Rock, allow that? It is many, questions with that. But it intrigues me because he keeps on mentioning about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that he's going to main event. And when WWE talks about it, It's because that's the plan.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I really don't see how they'll do it. I mean, we'll find out more because they are gonna have their contract signing this Friday, in which we tell everybody to tune in into it, and then we'll recap after that. But it's just still, it kind of like surprises me with that.
Yeah, no. One thing I will say, Alfredo, regarding to that is the Paul Levesque era of WWE has foreshadowed a lot of things, and not just in the way in what people say and the way people say things, cinematography, the way that things are shown. It's very interesting the way that things are run nowadays, especially with this specific example with CM Punk, because he does keep mentioning a main event WrestleMania, that he's been screwed before, that he wants it again, and I understand it. Now, how does it materialize?
Yeah, I mean, we still don't know. I mean, there'll be a lot of questions, but I think that that's how now the other curveball that might happen, and I've been reading it around, and this WWE might throw us the biggest curveball. You know what? What might be the biggest curveball in this triple threat match?
Tell me.
Guess.
I don't know. We've already discussed it. Maybe a number one contendership.
No,
Um,
no, 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 no. Paul Heyman turns and becomes with Seth Rollins. Have you heard
what?
that about that?
Oh, why Seth Rollins of all people?
That's the biggest swerve they can do.
Oh, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility for Seth Rollins to now take the wise man for Roman Reigns. That's then he will be
Think
all
about it.
alone.
Think about it. What has Paul Heyman has always said? He always positioned himself to be in the best situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is Roman Reigns? Yes, he is a tribal chief. Does he have a tribe? Where's the bloodline at right now?
Off doing their own thing.
There's no bloodline, right?
Yeah, everybody's off doing their own thing.
Is he the champion?
Nope.
Okay. So why would Paul Heyman need to continue? I think the main thing here is that I can guarantee it that Paul Heyman will not be with Roman Reigns. That WrestleMania will end and they will not be together. Now the question will be with CM Punk or Seth Rollins. The biggest swerve, I think he might end up going with Seth Rollins. Something that
Mhm.
nobody is talking about.
And then you're saying this may not be the real main event of WrestleMania. Come on, man. This is the most interesting part of WrestleMania right now. Tell me a match that's more like exciting than this one.
No, I still think that John Cena. I mean, John Cena first match as a heel. The Rock is gonna be there. There's gonna be something big on that matchup. So obviously, it will have the obvious decision, the obvious result, because John Cena will end up winning, and he will
Mhm.
have. But the big question is, how will that end? That's
Yeah,
what we all want to know.
yeah. We watch it because we know what's gonna happen and how it's gonna happen.
But you knew exactly because last year you knew Cody Rhodes was going to win.
Yeah, he couldn't lose twice.
Exactly.
Then because he could, how are we gonna back a guy to lose three times? I mean, two times in a row, and then go for it a third time. How
Okay.
long would Roman Reigns have been champion? You know, it's
Exactly. Exactly. So just because the matchup is predicted doesn't mean that it's not main event worthy. I still think that matchup, Cody Rhodes and John Cena, is the true main event.
I don't know, Fredo. But at the end of the day, this is why we discuss this here on the podcast, but the barbed wire podcast. But any closing remarks that you want to say?
Nope.
Alrighty, hey guys, like, subscribe, get on with us on the barbed wire podcast. We would like to see you next time. Contract signing.
Yeah, I'll put it like this, guys. Put in your comments. What do you think? What do you think is really going to happen in that triple threat match? Will Paul Heyman screw Seth Rollins? I mean, screw Roman Reigns?
Mhm.
And if he does, how would it be? And will CM Punk gets added into main event?